Morning students. Today we are going to discuss about working capital management, a part of financial management. So the contents of this working capital management chapter is to know about the overview of working capital, then operating cycle, estimation, how the working capital is being estimated in an organization, and if in case of the need for higher working capital and how it can be financed, all those things has to be discussed. Meaning working capital means the firm's holding of current or short-term assets such as cash, receivables, inventory and marketable securities, all those things comprised to form the working capital quantity. These items are also referred to as circulating capital. Usually we mention these items as a short-term assets or current assets, but there is another term which can be used to refer these items. The other term is nothing but circulating capital. The corporate executives devote their considerable amount of attention to the management of working capital. Working capital management is concerned with the problems that arise in attempting to manage the current assets, the current liabilities, and the interrelations that exist between the current assets and the current liabilities. Concepts of working capital management. There are two possible interpretation of working capital. First one, balance sheet concept. Next one, operating cycle concept. Let me first explain the balance sheet concept. There are two interpretations of working capital under the balance sheet concept. First one, excess of current asset over current liabilities, or gross or total current assets. Current assets. Current assets, first we have to know what does the term current asset refers to and what are the things that can be comprised to form the whole sum of current asset. Current asset refer to those assets which in the ordinary course of business can be or will be converted into cash within 1 year without undergoing a diminution in value and without disrupting the operations of the firm. And these are the two things that has to be kept in mind before estimating a particular asset as a current asset or not. First one, it has to be converted within 1 year, but there should not be any much diminution in value and it should not disrupt the existing operation of the firm. Current liabilities. Next one is current liabilities. Current liabilities are those which are intended at their inception to be paid in the ordinary course of business within a year without within a year out of the current asset or the earnings of the concern. Classification of working capital. Working capital can be classified on the basis of their concept and on the basis of the time. On the basis of the concept, gross working capital and net working capital are the two types of working capital. Whereas on the basis of the time, fixed working capital and temporary working capital are the another two types. Concepts of working capital. Gross working capital. Gross working capital refers to the firm's total investment in current assets. Current assets are the assets which can be converted into cash within the accounting period. As we already discussed about current assets, here the gross working capital refers to the total investment in the current asset. Then net working capital. It refers to the difference between the current asset and the current liabilities. Usually the net working capital can be positive or negative. Positive net working capital means if the current asset exceeds the level of current liabilities, then that situation is referred as positive net working capital. Whereas if the current asset is somewhat in a deficit to the current liabilities, then it is known as negative net working capital. Next one, permanent and variable working capital. Permanent or fixed working capital. A minimum level of current assets which is continuously required by a firm to carry on its business operation is referred to as permanent or fixed working capital. This is the minimum level of money that has to be maintained by the firm to proceed with the day-to-day operations. This level of amount cannot be disturbed by any other operations or any other um, capital budgeting plans. Next one is fluctuating or variable working capital. The extra working capital needed to support the changing production. The changing production may happen due to the climatic condition, seasonal variation as per the demand also. And sales activities of the firm is referred to as fluctuating or variable working capital. The same thing is explained in this diagram also. Yes, thank you.